You probably already wondered what the hell these effects do inside the framer on the right panel. Appear, hover, press, loop, drag, lightbox, sticker, scroll animation, scroll speed, scroll transform, scroll variant, and maybe even text effects. Well, if you take a look at this project that I'm looking at right here, you can probably already guess that I'm going to show you each of these effects with a small little example. So if you want to learn about them, make sure to stick around until the end of the video. Anyways, Nandi, this is Frame University, and let's get started. So as you can see, I'm right inside of this Framer project, and you can actually get this yourself. Just go down to the description and click the remix link, and then on the left pages panel, go to the starter page, and you can start playing around with these effects with me. So I'm going to go to the tutorial page and let's cover the first example here, which is going to be not appear, but scroll speed effect. We're going to start with that because that only works if it's placed at the top of the website. So scroll speed, how does it work and what does it do? Well, basically it just controls the speed of each layer that you apply it to, how fast it scrolls. So if you set it to, let's say 90%, that specific layer will scroll a little bit slower. And you might be wondering, what the hell can I use that for? Well, you can create cool little parallax effects with that. So let me show you how it works. I already have a little setup here. It's from the Chainzook website, and we can easily just apply scroll speed effects to each of these layers to create a parallax effect. So the way it should be set up for a parallax effect is layers that are closer to you, or elements that are closer to you, should move faster, and elements further away should move slower. So we're going to set it up according to this. So I think this layer right here is the closest to us. As you can see, these are the little people standing here. So effects on the right, scroll speed, and I'm going to give it 95% speed. Then this other layer is the text, so that is going to be a little bit slower, so scroll speed, and then maybe 80% or 90. You can always tweak this and play around with different values, but I'm going to go with 85% here. And then this one here is the cloud, so this is going to be scroll speed 70. And then we also have the background, which is just blue. I don't know if we want to change that. Maybe we can try scroll speed and let's give it 65%. So if we now preview what we have here, you're going to see that we have this really cool parallax effect where individual layers are moving with different speeds, making it look more realistic, I guess. So yeah, pretty cool, isn't it? Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be a pure effect. So I'm going to just hide this scroll speed section here so we can move on to the next one. So appear. What does appear do? Well, it just makes basically these layers, these frames appear on the website. So what you can do with this is you can just select all of the elements that you want to animate in, and then on the right, effects and appear. And even if you don't do anything else, you just apply this appear effect here, you're gonna see this. It's gonna be just a simple fade in effect. As you can see, it's not even visible, but I'm gonna show you a really easy way to make this look even better. So first of all, you have to select all the layers again that you apply these appear effects to, and then make sure that you customize the enter effect. So for example, I want these elements to come in from the bottom, let's say. So maybe I'm going to give it an offset 20 to the bottom. And then I can also tweak the transition. And this is going to be really interesting because I want to make this slower and I also want to stagger them. So first, the first text layer comes in, then the second, and then the next. And that's how we go. So delay will be applied 0.1. And then I'm selecting only the second layer. I'm applying 0.15 here, and then 0.2 on the last one. And that should be good. yeah, as you can see, as I reload this page, now these layers are appearing with a little stagger. They're also coming in from the bottom. So yeah, if you want to create a little hero section appear effect, the easiest way to do that is to just apply appear effects to most of your layers and give them a little stagger by adjusting the transition and the delay value there. So pretty great. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the hover effect. So this is going to be a little button example because, you probably want to add a hover effect to your button. And now a little side note here, you can actually create hover effects with components. And that's the way I usually create hover effects. But if you just want a simple hover effect and you don't want to create a component, you can also use the effect. So I'm going to select the button. On the right, go to Effects and Hover. And as you can see, I can just customize the hover effect here. So I can change the opacity. Maybe I want to drop the opacity actually to 0.7, and I want to scale the element up. But I can also change the fill color, the shadow, and a whole bunch of other things. And then when we eventually hover over, we're going to see that. I actually don't know why it scales down. I think we increased the scale. That is very funny. Oh, okay, I know. It's probably because we already have a scale 1.5 on the element, and 1.2 is smaller than 1.5, so we can just increase this to 1.7, so we're gonna see a scale up effect. Okay, that was interesting, but we figured it out. So yeah, this is just a simple hover effect. And again, it's great because maybe you just have a simple image or something on your site. You just want to give it a quick hover effect. You can do that with the hover effect. So next one is going to be the pressed effect. So I don't even know if it's called press or pressed. It's called press. Okay. So if we add press effect to this button example here, I was applying it to the section, so let me apply it to the actual button. We do the same, we get the same properties as for hover, but now these effects will be applied when we are actually pressing down on the button or the element that we're applying it to. So scale is going to be, we already have 1.5, so let's go 1.3. So it's going to scale down a little bit, maybe also lose the opacity. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's see. We click and we get the press effect, which is pretty good, isn't it? So that's about press. Let's move to the next one, which is going to be loop. Now this is going to be crazy. You can see that I already have this 3D setup right here. This is actually from the Frame University website. So if you go to the Frame University website and click this rotating 3D showcase framer, or you just search for it, you can just copy this component or remix it and see how it's built. You can also read about it. But yeah, we're just using this as a base here. And what I want to show you is that, by default, this would not be moving, right? This is just a static something. Now, if you go ahead and select the image wrapper layer, and on the right panel, you apply a loop, not drag, but loop, you are going to see these properties. Now, we want to add a rotation, but along the y-axis. You see how it starts rotating? So we are going to give it 360 rotation, and we can change the linear to like 5 seconds. So it's going to be slower, like rotating, but maybe 3 or 4 could also work. And now, instead of having something static, we have these crazy spinning 3D images, which is really good. So you can get creative with these effects actually, because for example, loop can also be used when you have like, I don't know, something like a little loader and you just make sure they like circles around. So yeah, that's about it. This is loop. Let's go into the next one, which is going to be drag. So as you can see, I prepared some of these elements here. We have a canvas, and then we have 2 of these images on the canvas. And so if you wanted to drag these around, you can do that. And actually we can combine a few effects to make that look even better, but let's first just make them draggable. So I'm going to select both of the images, right panel effects, drag, and guess what? Now you can drag them. I'm going to set the snapback to no, so they don't snap back to their original position. And I guess that's it. Let's just see how it works. Yeah, it's pretty simple, right? We can just drag them. But what if when we drag them, they also elevate themselves from the surface? Let's think about it. How can we do that? While we're dragging, we're pressing. So let's ask for the help of press effect. I'm going to apply press, maybe scale it up like this. We can also give it a little rotation, actually. Maybe something like that. And hopefully that will look much better. Yeah, pretty cool. Little rotation and scale up when we're dragging them looks really nice. So let's move to the next effect, which is going to be a Lightbox. So what the hell is Lightbox effect? Where it is a really simple effect when you want to scale up an image which is too small. So first of all, you can see this is just too small. I want to see it in bigger size. Now, how can I achieve that? I just select the image. Really important that it should be an image. And on the right panel, effects, Lightbox, and you have a bunch of properties that you can play around with here. But the point is that now, if we go into preview and click this image, it just makes itself larger and we can see it in larger size. So this is pretty great if you have like gallery or something and you want to give the ability to your visitors that they can actually check the images in larger size. Just give it a little Lightbox effect and it will work perfectly. So on to the next effect, thicker. As you can see, I have prepared these little images. They're just in a line here. So what we can do with this is we can just make these like loop forever. So they're just going to be moving from the left side of the screen to the right or the other way. And it's going to look really cool. So I'm just selecting the wrapper frame that wraps all of these little cards. And on the right panel, I'm clicking effects and thicker. Here I can change the direction, of course, left or right. I can change the speed, maybe I slow it down a bit. On hover, I can slow it down even more. And I can also make it draggable. So let's see how it looks. It looks pretty good, isn't it? So these are just looping now. So for example, if you have like little logos on your site that you want to show and you have a bunch of them, you can just use this effect and they're just going to be looping around, which is really nice. And you can, of course, drag this. And when you hover, it slows down a little bit. Pretty nice. Now on to the next effect, which is scroll animation. So this is where things start getting a little bit more exciting. I'm gonna actually keep this section here so we can scroll on to this section and see the scroll animation. So I have this little example. I found it on Cosmos. This is just a UI design. I just screenshotted the elements to put them here, and now we're gonna animate it. So what we're gonna do is we are going to actually, let me just collapse some of these layers because I don't want you to not see what I'm doing. So I'm going to select all of these images here, and on the right, I'm going to go to effects and scroll animation. And with this, what I've done is I added a scroll animation to all of these layers, which is going to trigger when the layer comes into view. I can customize how the animation looks, which is a really important part, because if you don't do this, it's gonna look really like it's a little bit boring, right? Like it's just a fade-in effect. So let's just customize it to make it look better. I'm going to set the replay to no because it works a little weird in a weird way in Framer, so I don't like it, honestly. But let's customize the effect. So opacity will be 0, scale 1. I want to like just move them in from the bottom, so offset 40y, and I'll make it slower, maybe 0.6 and 0.1 bounce, and hopefully that will look nice. Yeah, as we scroll onto this little design, they are appearing with a little stagger. I can also increase this sort of like stagger effect by going into these effects to the transition and again just delaying them a little bit. So 0.1, 0.15, 0.2, and then 0.25. So that will make it look even better. Yeah, pretty nice. So this is scroll animation. And now as we're going to move on to scroll transform, you might be wondering, what is the difference between, scroll animation and scroll transform? Well, here on scroll animation, the animation played as soon as it was triggered. So, the layer came into the view, and then this animation from the from state to the to state just completed itself fully. I couldn't stop it with my scroll. Now, on the other hand, when we use scroll transform to, for example, move this square from the left side to the right side, we'll be able to stop our scroll and stop the animation with that. So let's see how it works actually. So I'm going to select this frame here. I'm going to go to the right, scroll transform, and then I'm going to just change the from and the to state. So the from state is 1 opacity, 1 scale. The to state is just an offset along the X. I'm just going to move it until I reach the right side, and that should be good. I'm going to give it a transition to make it a little bit smoother, and I'll also change the trigger to section in view. And in order to do that, to trigger the section, I have to have a scroll section, so I can just select this section right here, and then on the right panel, give it a scroll section, maybe call it this. And then if I go back to my scroll transform effect, I can now finally select the section that I just created. So when this section comes into the view, the scroll transform will complete itself from the from state, which is defined here, to the to state, which is defined here. So let's see. I scroll down, and as you can see, as I stop with my scroll, the animation stops. As I continue my scroll, the animation continues. On the other hand, scroll animation, as it's triggered, it completes the animation. There's no way for us to stop that animation. So I hope that makes sense. And now on to this section, which is going to be really interesting. It is going to be a scroll variant. So what is scroll variant? Well, if you have components in Framer, and you probably have, you can animate between their variants on scroll. So for example, in this case, I have this image component that I already prepared. On one of the variants, the image is waiting right here to come in. And on the other variant, the image is animated in. So it's going to be just a sliding from the bottom effect, essentially. So yeah, again, in order to animate between these, I just have to apply a scroll variant effect to all of these. So I'm going to select all of these components on the left. And then on the right, I'm going to go to Effects, Scroll Variant. And what I want to do, well, I want to animate from the off variant to the on variant when the layer comes into view. It's that simple. So now if I preview, I can scroll, and as you can see, as these little images come into view, they start animating in. But again, I forgot to turn off the replay. It makes it a little weird in my opinion. So I'm going to just set replay to no. So it just plays once, and yeah, it looks really, really cool. So that's about scroll variant, and I think we have the bonus here, which is text. So let's just hide these for a second. I only need the text. So this only appears when you are actually applying it to a text effect. So it's actually a little weird. Like if you draw a frame, you go to effects, you don't see the text effect option here. but you see scroll variant. So when you see scroll variant, it's not a component. Whatever. So if you have text, you can apply text effect to that, which will make it look really, really cool. Just by adding this text effect and not doing anything else, you get this. It's just amazing, isn't it? So if we go and customize it a little bit more, it can be even better. So for example, what I like doing is I like animating per word instead of per letter. And then you can change how it comes in. So maybe let's do a little scale up. I don't really like blur. Let's decrease that. And we're gonna do an offset to the right and to the bottom as well, maybe 2020. And I'll also rotate it a little bit. Maybe 5, yeah. And I can click here to preview it. And I can also change the speed of the effect here. So this is kind of the effect that we will get. Let's see how it works. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And you can do a whole bunch of other things with this. I mean, if you play around with it for a while, you're gonna be able to create a really, really unique effects with this. So yeah, I guess that's about it. We covered all of the effects in this single video, which is quite amazing, isn't it? So yeah, feel free to play around with these in your own projects to make them a little bit more exciting. If you have any questions about any of these, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section. I'm going to do my best to answer you guys. Also check out Framer.University for cool resources, components, remixable stuff. If you're learning Framer or if you're a Framer user, it's going to be an amazing resource for you. So yeah, that's it for this video. Make sure to like it, subscribe for more, and I'm going to see you in the next one.